Hi, I'm Donna Paul, and I was a Weeki Wachee Mermaid in 1967, 68, and 69.
Donna, we'd like to welcome you back to Weeki Wachee Springs State Park, and we appreciate the time that you're taking with us today to kind of relive some of your memories here. And you just told us that you swam here from 1967 to 1969. Can you tell us a little bit about some of the shows that you swam in?
The shows I swam in were Underwater Dream Girls, The Wizard of Oz, and Snow White and the Mermaids. And I have to say The Wizard of Oz was one of my favorites. I really enjoyed playing the Tin Man, the Scarecrow, and the Lion. And getting to play Dorothy was a lot of fun.
Did you, and you kind of answered my next question, which were, which of the shows were your favorite? Do you have any special memories of any of those shows, or any special memories of some of the kinship that you had with some of the mermaids? I mean, what are some of your fondest memories that you had during your 3 years here as a mermaid?
Well, I have to tell you, like all the girls feel this way, I am totally forever grateful to Jeannie and Bonnie that I got to work here. It was always a dream. And to become a Mer sister is just, there is no other comparable feeling. And once a mermaid, always a mermaid. And you can go on and have another life and other jobs and have marriage and children. But being a mermaid is special. And I'm thoroughly grateful that the state has managed to keep Weeki Wachee alive.
You know, a lot of the mermaids have used Weeki Wachee Springs as a platform to do other things. And I know you and I have talked earlier, and I understand that you've done some interesting things after your time here at Weeki Wachee. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've done after you left Weeki Wachee?
Well, the story is, at Weeki Wachee, back in our day, meant that it was a 10-mile trip to go get a root beer at the Newport Richie A&W, or 10 miles into Brooksville if we wanted to do anything. And we used to finish our last show and get all dressed up, and we'd carpool, and maybe sometimes we'd take our letter of introduction from R.C. Cola and go see a movie or at the theaters for free, because they were also sponsoring. R.C. Cola was a sponsor, and the Great Bet, and that would be all the way to St. Pete, and sometimes we'd go dancing, and we just would have a really, really nice time. But I was here after 3 years. I wanted to travel, so I decided to I wrote a letter to Disneyland, and I wrote a letter to Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus. And because I had done some when I was in the Flying Pirate Circus as a child, or between 8 and 16, I ended up on the Ringling Brothers Barnum and Bailey Circus as a showgirl for 2 years. And I worked with Gunther Gable Williams, who is amazing, who was amazing. And I got to ride the elephants. And from there, then I wanted to become, from a showgirl to what they call a performer. So I joined the Flying Dells, and after that I was part of the Flying Carols. So that was my circus part of my life. And then I did end up with marriage, and I had 3 lovely children. Okay. And my 2 children, courtesy of Robin and Barb, my son Josh and my son Christopher and my daughter Leslie, actually got to swim in the springs many years ago. Right. And they have never ever forgotten that experience. They just on the surface, and there was turtles, but it was kind of special for them to get to do that. And I have to tell you, one of my memories of the springs, so it was a deep dive, and it was a night show. Okay. And I had done several, and at night it's so amazing because you look up and it's like all the bubbles become like little diamonds on the black sky, and you can see the moon. And I know the other girls have felt the same way. It's just too special. So I go down, and I'm down there, and I had let my air hose go, and just for some reason I just turned to my left, and there was a catfish just eye to eye with we had masks in those days, and I almost let out some of my air because I was so startled, because I did not know that the fish was there, right, in the dark and everything. But and it was then relaxed, and I said, okay, he's not going to bother me. He's just a catfish. But I didn't know he was there, and it was nighttime. And
Yeah, it kind of startled you a little bit.
It was a
You
memory.
know, everyone that I've talked to, former mermaids, even current ones, talk about the magic that it is, once they swim in that water and they perform for audiences. It's something, as you mentioned earlier, they just never forget.
Right.
It's like a little part of them remains here. Is that something that you've experienced? Is it something even after all these years that
Totally. And I have to tell you, Bonnie had a record from Ferrante and Teicher, the pianist people, and she was using the songs off of there. And we did Matchmaker, Under the Water, and in Underwater Dream Girls, and we also did As Long as He Needs Me on the piano lift, and we did Tchaikovsky, the Swan Lake Ballet, and so that music takes me right back when I hear those songs, right back. And the funny thing about going into the circus was they said, come and be prepared to work hard. And the first year I was there, the spec was they had fairy tale creatures. And I had my hair pulled back and a ponytail, I had a sweatshirt on, I had blue jeans. I was ready to work hard, because I thought we were going to be rehearsing. And everybody else was in makeup, and they had curls in their hair, and they were in dresses. And it turns out that the first half of the first day, they spend casting all the parts. So my first year on the Ringling, I was a crow, and this much of my face showed. Everything else was a black leotard and wings, and Whereas the second year, I wasn't, and I was Little Bo Peep. But I almost had the chance to be Dorothy in the spec.
So you think, all the experience that you had at Weeki Wachee as a mermaid helped propel you in your life over at Ringling. So you pretty much have conquered land, sea, and air now.
Yeah, that's
with
true.
your time as a mermaid, trapeze artist, and so you've kind of run the gamut of all of it.
It's been a blessing and gifts that I would never trade. I got to travel. And when I was here, I actually got to meet Will Rogers Jr.
Oh, okay.
And at the time, I didn't quite know the honor I was getting. It's one of those things of youth where you can't know what you have until after you've lost it, which we all find that out. But I have a picture of myself with him, and I treasure that. And I got to work at the Will Rogers Memorial Coliseum in the circus, and that's when I sort of
kind of came full circle.
That was his son, and then I looked him up, and because you get what you get in high school for history, and some of it's really good, and some of it's not.
Good. Well, you were here for the 60th reunion 5 years ago. The 65th is this year. We're trying to do a reunion now every 5 years, and to bring a lot of the mermaids who are or the women that helped start this attraction back in 1947. And every one of them always looks forward to these reunions because it's an opportunity. And they always say, even though we haven't seen anyone in 5 years, 10 years, or even longer, as soon as they meet and lock eyes, it's like they pick right up where they left off.
It's so true. And I had a wonderful time at the last reunion. Unfortunately, I won't get to be there, so hey, everybody have a good time. And think of me once and just swim and enjoy all the things that Robin and John and Toby put together for you guys. And if there's a t-shirt, I want one, I'll buy it.
You got it. Well, Donna, thank you so much for all your time and appreciate you coming here today to do this for us. And sorry we're going to miss you for the 65th, but you'll always be there in our hearts and memories, that's for sure.
I'll say one other thing.
Yes.
If you're ever in Portland, Oregon, come and see me and I'll get you a discount seat to the Comedy Sports Show because I do improv now.
Oh, great.
And so that's still a part of performing. I guess that's just going to be part of my life, and I can't get away from it. Except that the water part was the best.
Great.
I will have to say that.
Well, we appreciate it, Donna. Thank you so much for doing this for us. We really do appreciate it.
Thank you for doing the interviews, because it's nice to catch up with everybody.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right.